All right. Welcome to Sideboard MTG. My name's Eric, and we've got a pretty sweet set of decks for you guys tonight for the Patreon games. It is Ravnica Allegiance RNA or ribonucleic acid, I think, right? These are ribonucleic acid decks. It's exactly what we're doing. No, we've got some Ravnica Allegiance decks for you guys. These are the brews of my patrons, and we're going to be having some fun with these decks. We're going to be going over some mana bases and things of that nature, and talking about ways we can shore up and make sure that we can actually, say, cast a 3-drop on turn 3 or something of that nature. Either way, it should be a fun show, so I hope you stick around. If you do like the show, give it that thumbs up, and if you like the content in general, subscribe to the channel. All right, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this thing. Get that out of here. Go. All right. What's up, everyone? How's everyone doing? We got Jizza, Hefe, Logical Order, Robert. What's up, man? I know we got a few others here. Dragon Lord, Aiden's up there. And what is that? Spamly Gaming? What's up, Spam? We're playing their decks and Jank Brews today. Oh yeah. We're playing the Patreon decks. I guess I'll go ahead and say it. For those that are $10 patrons, if you give $10 a month, I will either be your personal deck consultant, or, which is what a lot of people do. They just send me decks. They don't care if I play them or not, but they just send me decks and say, hey, what do you think about this? What would you do here? How would you change the mana? That sort of thing. And I try to give some feedback on that. But if you request it, and everyone's entitled to this, you get a deck a month played. So if you guys want to jump in on that, you're supporting the channel, and I'll give a little something back for you. If you don't want to support that much, you could always just drop $1 in the Patreon, and that helps a ton. So thank you very much for all of those that do support through Patreon. And if that's not your thing, you can also support the channel in a number of other ways. YouTube is a big one. You can either join on YouTube Gaming, get the emotes and the badges for chat. If you're someone who likes to hang out and chat, and you would get more of a benefit from having your flair or showing off your bling, then by all means use that for your means of support. Otherwise, there's always Super Chat, and yeah, right, the more patrons, the better. I am trying to do Patreon polls over there. My Patreon's quite small, so we don't have a lot of votes and things like that, but we're going to start doing a lot more polls on where the content is going to go, what decks we play, what tier 1 decks, what brews of mine I post, and things like that. And if you're a patron, then you can get in on it. As far as polls go, though, I try to leave the polls open to the public, so even if you just follow on Patreon and don't actually offer any support other than your advice and feedback and stuff, then you can just follow, and you can vote on the polls that way as well. All right, so enough talking about how to monetize your stream. Let's talk about some Magic. What's up, Raymond? What's up, Tolston? Did you ever figure out what deck you were going to play, Mr. Tolston? What's up, Madness? Yo, Aiden, Super Chat. So easy to use. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Way to get your message across. You're guaranteed to get your message read there, right? Thank you very much, Aiden. I do appreciate it. We're almost down to the first boss of the year. First boss death of the year. Those are, I am trying to transition into making this a full-time job. For some of you are going to be like, man, he's just asking for money. Yeah, I want to turn this into a job. I would love to make this have the ability to support my family, and that would be awesome. And in order to do that, I need to kill that stream boss 10 times a month, right? That may seem like a lot, but it actually won't be. Anyway, thank you, Cushy Dart, and I appreciate it. RNA Decks rule. There we go. So let's talk about the first one we have on the chopping block. This one, and I do say chopping block because I've fixed me a little tool here, and I'm going to start doing this to you guys that are submitting your decks. We're just gonna be crunching the numbers over and over. I keep getting messages and things like, how do I fix my mana base, and things like that. How do I make my deck better? And the best way that I can tell you to make your deck better is to fix your mana base. And the best way that I can tell you to fix your mana base is to just go by the numbers. All right, Aiden, thank you so much. Jizza, trending, you guys are awesome. All right, so let me show you guys what I'm talking about here really quick. And I will probably put up a Nightbot link to the website for this. So I won't have it up today, but I will put up a Nightbot link to the website for this. But this is just a basic breakdown. So if you need to cast something like a Tendershoot Dryad, which is 1 green and 4 colorless, so one of your colored sources and 4 colorless, then you're going to need to have 9 of that color. So if we look at Vivian Reed here, and Vivian Reed is a 5 converted mana cost spell, costs double green and 3. We go over to our chart. Our chart says kill shot. Cushy's figured it out. He's killed him. Alright, so let me finish this thought, Cushy, and then I will get to you on your kill shot, sir. You got a reward coming, and you'll be able to pick from a couple choices that we have right now. I plan on adding more choices in the future, but for right now, you'll be able to get a free deck and a deck tag and gameplay of that deck. And the other option is if you want to add a song to the playlist, that song is guaranteed to stay for at least a month, but has to come from OC Remix. The link is in the description box below, so if you want to like browse through some OC Remix songs, find something you like, just send it to me, and we'll add that to the playlist. So yeah. All right, so let's talk about this Vivian Reed, right? All right, Vivian Reed, 5 mana, double green and 3, and for that, like, we'll go over and look at Lyra Dawnbringer. Same thing, and Lyra is in this deck. I could use it for the example, but I want to use Vivian Reed here. For Lyra Dawnbringer, we will require 14 sources, so we'll need 14 white sources or 14 green sources if we want to cast these cards on curve. Now, that's not going to be a 100% of the time you're going to get it on curve. It's going to happen. No, we're looking at about 90 to 93% here. So, and that's consistency, right? That is consistency. So, if you can do that, then by all means, you know, that's what you want to do. Most of your spells are going to be their best on curve. You know, a good 3-drop is we look at it, we evaluate it, and we say, you know, for 3 mana, this is awesome. And if you're not just looking at the vanilla cost of, you know, this is a good way to spend 3 mana, and you're wanting it on curve, playing it on turn 4 is not going to make that 3-drop near as good as it was if it were played on 3. And that's what we're gonna keep trying to pound in there. So Vivian Reed will require 14 green sources, and if we go over and count green, we're going to start at Overgrown Tombs. We've got 1, 2, we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, 13 green sources in the deck. So that says that there are going to be times where we can't cast Vivian Reed on turn 5 because we just don't have the second green yet. And that's something that we're going to have to worry about. Probably Esper Midrange if this deck you're about to post doesn't work. Awesome. I will there's your post. Anyway, so we're running a little bit short on green sources. And then if you wanted to fix the mana base, you would just look at some of your more taxing spells to cast and say, all right, well, we need at least 14 for Lyra. And if you get to counting and we go for white sources, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9, 10 with the 2 planes, we get down to Sunpetal Grove, we go to 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 white sources. So the most taxing thing, is it Lyra or is it History of Benaya? So we've got 18 white sources. We go down and look at our 1cc J-Light Ranger. It does require 18 white sources. So you may not need all those white sources for your Lyra, but you are going to need those for History of Benalia. So these are things that you're going to have to look at. And as you get into 3 converted mana costs, or 3 color decks, you're going to have to weigh some cards. You're going to have to weigh that risk reward that I talk about a lot. You know, remember, like, it's just not worth it to splash another color into your deck if the reward is not worth the risk. So look at that, and always think about that when you're making your choices in your mana base. Try to do it by the numbers, and if you wind up having additional mana, colors in your mana base. So if we had 19 white, we would have been able to cut a white and add a green. If we go in and look at the black sources here, the most taxing black card in the deck is Vraska's Contempt. Vraska's Contempt being double black and 2, which is double black and 2, I want to say 16. Yeah, 16. All right, so yeah, double black and 2, 16 black sources. So if we count, of course, we've got 10 right off the bat here. And then we move on down. 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're still missing on black sources. So if we could, you know, maybe, you know, get an extra black source in here somewhere, that means we're probably going to have to, you know, cut down on some of the other spells in order to make that happen. And if you were going to do that, that's going to make your History of Benalia's harder to cast. So if the question is do you have to have History of Benalia on 3, or do you have to have Vraska's Contempt on 4? And if history's more important, then that's how you're going to make your choices in your mana base. That's exactly what's been done here, and that's just kind of what I wanted to talk to everyone about before we got started on this. And I'm going to be doing this with the other decks as well. I will say that for the mono black, we're going to keep it real simple. All right, you know, you need your maximum of what? 16 mana sources to be able to cast this, and we have, look at that, 23 done. All right, black deck's done. We'll talk about the red or the Jund deck as we get to it, but for now, let's actually talk about Justin Clay's deck overall, not just the mana base, and then we'll get into some gameplay. Unstable lands, yeah, unstable lands are pretty sexy. The thing about, you know, I've got some unstable lands. I just don't have more than 20 of them, so I can't use them in the decks that have like 23 of one basic. So sorry. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could have changed these out, right? Yeah, I probably could have changed those out. We could make some adjustments here. There we go. Show the version separately, and then we'll have some unstable lands. No, that ain't what I wanted. It's not what I wanted. All right, there we go. So we'll get rid of some basic plains. We'll go pull a plains, and then we'll get rid of basic swamp and pull a swamp. All right, there we go. Taken care of. Her name's Taysa Justin. How dare you? What did I miss? The black needs to be added, so add white so you can get that double death trigger off her. Oh, I have no clue what you guys are talking about. Taking a picture of the chart. I'll leave it up for a few more minutes. We'll be able to pull it back up. As far as here, you know what? I'm going to do this. I recommend that you all save this link to your folder. I mean, to your favorites. It's This article was put out by Dr. Frank Karsten. Very, very good Magic player. Likes to do things by the number. Builds his decks and stuff. From what I can see, by the numbers. The man loves to do this exact type of thing. And yes, it's a Channel Fireball article, but that doesn't matter. We can forgive Channel Fireball, right? All right. Hopefully that link will work for you guys. But that is the link to the entire article by Dr. Frank Karsten. I've talked about this link before in the past. It is just a breakdown of the numbers. This isn't just someone saying, hey, I think you need this or I think you need that. No, it's for with a 60-card deck. He also, in that article, breaks those the mana cost down for 99-card decks. So if you're building Commander, it can help you there. And he breaks it down with 40-card decks as well. So for those of you wanting to get some more practice in on your draft building and things like that, and you need a little more help with your decks, then the chart's really, really handy. So, all right, names are just classy chicks, right? I guess. What's wrong with Channel Fireball? Nothing's wrong with Channel Fireball. I like Channel Fireball. I like TCG Player, and I like SCG. So, those are the three big. I love Channel Dumpster Fire. Rudy's so funny. Yep, that creepy guy. Yeah, he's pretty cool. I don't know if I believe half the crap he says, but it's fun to watch. But that's up to you. Like if you just believe everything, then I don't know. Make your own choices. Anyway. Whipped out that hypergeometric calculator, right? There you go. Get your probabilities. There you go. Anyway, so yeah, that's what the article's all about, is just giving you the numbers on why things are doing. So, is donating through Streamlabs the same as Super Chat? No, actually, Streamlabs is a separate thing. It will affect the Stream Boss the same way. Streamlabs is mainly for Twitch, but if you're a Twitch user and you're used to donating through Streamlabs, then my model is don't make it hard for people to give you money. Right? It just seems stupid. Anyway, so there's just a ton of options. I don't expect anyone to use all the options, but it's the same principle. If you're going up to the cashier and they're like, "Oh, sorry, we don't accept." Used to, I would say we don't accept card, but now it's we don't accept cash, and it's like, really, you don't accept? But that's what I've got right now. So I don't know. Anyway, don't make it hard. It's just business, right? Anyway, Justin's got a sweet little Knights deck here, and that's exactly what it is. He's not all in on Knights of Malice, which, honestly, with the number of mono white decks that are floating around, I could actually see running an additional copy of Knight of Malice over 4 copies of Knight of Grace. Do we not have art? This is going to break my heart if we don't have art. Anyway, running an additional Knight of Malice, just because I think Knight of Malice is really good against the mono white decks. But as far as Knight of Grace goes, the card is absolutely terrific. There are a ton of black removal spells out there, and you just can't do anything to it with Knight of Grace. So, yeah, I think I would at least try it with a 3-3 split, but Justin Clay's here, and he might have done that in the past. And if he has, then he probably knows more than we do of why he doesn't run 3 Knight of Malice. Anyway, I do think that with the number of mono white decks out there that it's worth it, especially when we had the Azorius deck get like 2nd place. And this can't be taken with Deputy of Detention, and if they have a Deputy of Detention, this can continue to swing through it. So it's just one of those things. White decks don't use lots of removal. Well, now they have Deputy of Detention, right? They have the Deputy of Detention, which is a body and removal, and then they have the body, and then they also have Conclave Tribunal, which, granted, you're not really worried about that, but if they have a creature on the battlefield, you're always going to have that 3 power with first strike. And that's pretty sweet, right? Like, there's a big difference between having a 3 power with first strike versus a 2 power with first strike in that matchup. Mainly being able to block Benelish Marshall, right? So, again, if you've seen the Azorius or White Weenie decks start to pop up more and more in your, meta or something like that, and you were going to be running, you're going to be running Knights, then, maybe lean a little bit further on Knight of Malice. Either way, I do like the idea of 6 2-drop creatures here, and if you ended up changing it to 4 and 2 in the opposite direction, or 3 and 3, or leaving it the way it is, I understand that, and that would just be, a flux in the meta, depending on how the meta shifted, how much you would want the other side. If there was more Sultai or something like that, then yeah, Knight of Grace is probably going to be better, whereas there were more White Weenie decks, then you were probably going to want more Knight of Malice. Again, just a meta call for your local meta if you're going to be taking this to FNM. As far as Assassin's Trophy goes, we're starting to see more and more decks with a ton of split lands in them and almost no basics. So the backside of Assassin's Trophy is starting to get really, really good. And I'm not gonna lie, like the card is really, really like good. We see it in Modern. There's just a lot of times where you can just take their most devastating thing. It's a great way to pop Ixalan's Bindings, things like that. Just a great card in general. And if you're looking at your opponent's side of the board and they're a 3-color deck that has already played a couple basics, they might not have anything left to go get. I wouldn't really count on that as of right now, unless I was playing against one of the gate decks, as most of the time they don't have many basics at all. And against them, destroying their fodder works really good. Logical Order, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. All right, so History of Benalia definitely going to help us pump up the Knights of Grace and the Knights of Malice. If you have a History of Benalia on the battlefield, Knight of Malice is always going to be turned on. Problem with that is the turn that it activates, it goes away. So if you don't still have your tokens laying around, then Knight of Malice is going to lose that buffer. But again, like they've got to deal with the tokens in order for that to happen. If they've dealt with the tokens, there's a good chance they probably figured out a way to get rid of the Knight of Malice. So I do like History of Benalia with Knight of Malice. Midnight Reaper. This is a knight. A lot of times I keep forgetting, and I think this guy's just a zombie, but no, he's a zombie knight. Awesome artwork, by the way. I love this. This Reaper riding his horse kind of reminds me of the Hobbits in the Shire when the Wraiths came over them. They're down under the ledge there, or under the hill in the little ditch or whatever. You got the little guys hiding here, and it just reminds me of that. It's like, well, I've seen this scene somewhere before, right? Anyway, Midnight Reaper giving us a little bit of extra card draw. It has the Nazgul. Yeah, the Nazgul. My nerds unite. Yeah, I love it. Anyway, I've got to quit. Hold on. Oh, reset. I went too far. Oh, man. I got to start watching Game of Thrones again. Like, I got to get brushed up on my Game of Thrones, because that's coming. Anyway, Midnight Reaper. It's a knight. Works with History of Benalia, but also works with just all of our creatures. Our creatures die. We gain cards off of that, just giving us more advantage, and that's sometimes exactly what we're looking for. Another nice, sweet card here in the 3-drop, destroy target creature or enchantment. This is really, really good against a lot of the decks that are being played right now, because either they are an aggro-based deck where you're destroying creatures with your Mortifies, or there's some type of control deck that probably has some number of enchantments in them. Even most of the Esper decks have some number of enchantments in them, whether it's Search for Azcanta or it's you know, some type of a binding spell or seal away or something like that. And Mortify works really good there. As far as removal goes, though, I mean, you're still going to want to keep some number of Vraska's Contempts around because we don't have red. You can't switch to Bedevil, and you do need a way to destroy Planeswalkers. So we do have to like keep playing Vraska's Contempt. I would much rather be able to, you know, get away with a 3 converted mana cost spell or even a 2 converted mana cost spell to be able to get rid of their Planeswalkers. But you know, if we don't have access to red, then we don't have access to Bedevil. So we play what we've got, right? Vraska's Contempt. Other knights at the 3-drop slot, though. Knight of Autumn gives us some more options, another way to destroy enchantments and artifacts. But then again, if you've got the enchantments and artifacts under control and you're against an aggressive or a control deck, there's a good chance you're just going to put +1/+1 counters, make that 4/3 body, and start beating with it. Heaven forbid you're doing it the turn after a History of Benalia, and then you know, History of Benalia will go off the next turn, and you know, you're looking at, you know, a 6/4. That can do some work. That can do a lot of work. We've also got Shalai, Voice of Plenty. Now, Shalai's a pretty sweet card when you're wanting to make your board bigger and bigger and bigger in the late game. Also, it's a great way to protect your other creatures. If your other creatures are already going to be devastating, then as soon as you cast a Shalai, they have to start removing those other creatures immediately, or they have to then start putting their next piece of removal at Shalai first before they can go towards other creatures, without a Wrath, of course. Now, as far as curve goes, this is a great way to follow up your Midnight Reaper. Just because it's going to protect your Midnight Reaper, it also works really well against cards like Thought Erasure or Duress, Viashino Pyromancer. If you have this on the battlefield, Viashino Pyromancer is not a May ability. They have to remove something from their own hand. Or, sorry, not remove something from... They have to take the 2 damage themselves. So one player is going to take the damage with Viashino Pyromancer. So if you have Hexproof, you know, you can do a little damage that way. But yeah, the green factor on this, being able to pump up all of your small creatures, is one of the things that's going to help the Knights deck just kind of go over the top. Vivian, I was about to say Vraska. Vivian Reed, just another great way to get more of your deck. This is kind of like your Hydroid Colossus. You know, Hydroid Colossus is just another more of already having a good deck. And the same thing here with Vivian. Our top end of the line here is Lyra Dawnbringer. However, I'm going to say that I'm really liking Biogenic Ooze. So Justin Clay, I want to just throw that out there. If you have a copy of Biogenic Ooze, maybe you should consider putting, you know, 1 copy in the deck somewhere, maybe even in the sideboard. But Biogenic Ooze is really great against Fine Finale decks. Now, I know you're a Fine Finale deck, so Biogenic Ooze might not be that bad. So are there any Knights with Afterlife? I don't think so. Could be wrong. I will check. I mean, it's worth it to check, right? So if we go Knights, there we go. Well, it ain't a land, right? I gotta remove land. Maybe I should do this. Let's make this bigger so we can see. Subtype Knight Afterlife. Alright, so looks like there are a few Knights with Afterlife. There's a 5-mana 3/3 that can block an additional creature each combat with Afterlife 1. And then there's Knight of the Last Breath, which has Afterlife 3, and you can sacrifice another non-token creature to create another spirit. So there's a couple Knights. I don't know if I would play them, but they exist. So just throw that out there. They do exist. They do exist. Now I'm thinking about M&Ms. What have you done? Anyway, neither would be very good. But again, biogenic ooze might be something you want to think about. The ooze, you hadn't really thought of ooze, but you like the synergy with Lyra and Shalai. Understood, and that's kind of why I figured you were on the 3 copies of Lyra. Biogenic ooze, just one of those cards that can just get away from other decks really quick. Great late game mana sink, and works good with Fine Finale. Just because you can get ahead of Fine Finale really easily, and you can use the fine half of it to actually get your ooze back. And every time you get your ooze back late game, it's going to be fairly devastating. Looking at your sideboard though, everything looks pretty sweet. I like the Profane Processions. It is another good way to exile creatures and things like that. It's oozing with value. Ooze also checks Carnage Tyrant. Yes, it does. Profane Procession. What can I say? I mean, it's exile on a stick, and you can actually just pop tokens with this thing forever. You're only going to be able to technically remove 3 things, but the cool part about them is once they're exiled, it's not like they can blow up this enchantment and then all of a sudden get their dudes back. That's not going to happen. They're exiled. They're exiled. As far as getting their dudes back, you could, however, if you've exiled 3, then you can flip it, and then you can start paying 4 mana in this to actually play those creatures again, right? Don't lose with the ooze. Oh man, you guys are on it, right? Anyway, 3 copies of Duress for for non-aggressive decks. For decks that have a lot of non-creature spells you want to rip out. For the aggressive decks, we've got the Moment of Cravings, which gains you the life. It's good early removal. Same thing can be said with Deathgorge Scavenger. Deathgorge Scavenger, eating creature cards out of the graveyard, gaining you that additional life. But when you need to punch the gas, you can start eating those jumpstart spells and things like that out of the graveyard, and then punching in for 4 points of damage. Phyrexian Scriptures, I really like this as a board sweeper. I'm curious as to why there's no like Kaya's Wrath or something like that. I assume that it's because you expect to be able to keep one creature on the battlefield with the becomes an artifact ability. However, right now I don't know if this is the best board sweeper that you can get, because I'm running into a lot of Gates decks. And if the Gates decks aren't built on the Nexus plan, then they're normally built on the Guardian plan. And this wouldn't destroy a Guardian, and that's the only thing that kind of worries me. But as far as Phyrexian Scripture goes, I actually really like this card, and I can see it being played. If you're not going to play the Wrath, then this is a really sweet sweeper to bring in for when Finale's just not going to be enough. Also, the Carnage Tyrants, can't agree more with having a couple cards or a couple copies of this in the 75. It's great in a lot of different scenarios. I would still look into the Ooze. Don't underestimate the Ooze, man. It is a insanely powerful card. Yes, if you flip and cast another one, you can get 3 more creatures from it, Cushy. However, you would then need to flip the new one in order to bring the new creatures back. So that is something you can't exile from one and then bring them back with the land version. You have to wait. So. The Phoenix deck, right? Being able to flip those, the Deathgorge Scavenger on the Phoenix deck, yeah, all of that seems pretty sweet. Well, we're a little bit slow on the mana. I still don't think I can give up the hand though. I mean, we've got 2 land. It's coming in slow though. I think I want to play the Isolated Chapel on 1. I'm going to keep. It's a slow hand, but I am going to keep. If I Isolated Chapel on 1, if we do happen to draw a land that will come in untap on 2, then we have more options available as far as Knight of Malice and Knight of Grace. Just like so. What are we worried about here? A counter spell? If we're worried about a counter spell, then I need to play the Knight of Malice. If we're worried about a kill spell, then I need to play Knight of Grace. So I'm worried about the counter spell. So I'm gonna play the Knight of Malice. He may allow it and then just kill it. Note, you can hit your own creatures with Profane. Yes, you can. There have been times in the past where I exiled my own, the Scarab God, just so I could bring it back. I mean, we could Stone Rain this dude, right? I want to swing for 2 and make him do something. I also want to just slam a History of Anaya, but I really think he's got to answer to History of Anaya. But I also want to get the max out of my... I'm going to play the Knight. I mean, we're probably looking at getting a Ritual of Soot soon. And with Grixis, I'm not that worried about enchantments. Yeah, we're probably looking at Ritual of Soot. But at least at this point, we've presented 7 points of damage, and that's enough. Well, the reason I didn't swing first is because if the Knight resolved, then I got the additional point of damage in. That's the only thing I was looking at. And I don't want to play the History of Anaya until after we've had the Ritual of Soot happen. Alright, Rekindling Phoenix, that's a thing. That's also a thing. I mean, this is a really good time to get History of Anaya down, right? You've been main boarding more trophies lately. I want to swing with both. And then I don't think he can block. If he blocks, then we kill the Phoenix, I guess. If he doesn't block, then we're just racing. Alright, well this is fine. Should we Assassin's Trophy and Knight of Grace? Or just mortify it? Shoot that egg. Yeah, I just don't know if I want to shoot it with Assassin's Trophy. If I shoot it with Assassin's Trophy, I can also play Knight of Grace. If I shoot it with Mortify, then I can't. So, but do I want to let our opponent ramp here is the question. Because I expect him to have one other basic. Alright. Pop the egg. Bye-bye, Eggy. Egg down. Mortify, he played his basic. You don't think he's got 2 in the deck? Trophies for bigger threats. Save the trophy. Okay. Gotcha. Like, so trophies for like Ralzeric and spells of that nature, eh? So what do I get rid of here? Knight of Grace? I guess. It's probably Lyra was probably the right answer. So if I play this, I can Assassin's Trophy and History of Benalia. I'm going to do it. So I'm going to Assassin's Trophy Bolus. It feels kind of bad, but I really want to get this history down. Does he have another basic? Show me what you got. He did have another basic. Yeah, we're not quite there to the no basics. And then punch in for another 3. And then next turn we can play Lyra unless he just plays another Bolus. If he plays another Bolus, then we're in trouble. Lyra doesn't die to Soot. Yeah, when I made the decision, it was based on, do we hit another land? Because if we didn't hit another land, then I wanted to be able to play 2 spells, and the best thing we would have had would have been Trophy into the Knight of Grace. And yep, that's the thing. That's the thing. Look, he's got 2 red. Okay. Ooh. I like. If I just shoot the Bolus now, he doesn't get a chance to block with it. So now he has to trade the Thief of Sanity for, well, I mean, he doesn't have to, but if he doesn't, then he's going to need to do some sweeping next turn. I mean, he could just go to 6, which looks like that's what he's going to do. He'll smack me with the Thief of Sanity, and then we'll go from there. Mortify the Thief. But then we didn't get through. Like, we want to be able to present lethal next turn. So if he swings with the Thief, he can't. Like, that's one less blocker he'll have for the 2 Knights. And all the Knights are going to be, like, doing a ton of damage next turn. The raw power of the top deck, right? Yeah. Detection Tower. This man's even got room for Detection Tower in the deck. Angrath! No. Alright, so he's going to gain control of my knight. He still can't swing with both. Sweet. That means he plans on blocking with the Thief? I assume? Like, he's presenting that he wants to block with the Thief. He may just have, like, Cry of Carnium here. Which, in that case, wouldn't you have swung with the Thief? Another Thief. Well... I'm going to swing at him. Wow, we get them both. That is so awesome. Just going to play this Woodland Cemetery and pass the turn. Perhaps I shouldn't have played the Woodland Cemetery, just held it, but Angrath is going to uptick and make me get rid of it. So. Well, let's see what happens here. I've got to play it again. Angrath will make me discard it if I don't. I mean, I could have put a point of damage towards Angrath. He's got a Sinister Sabotage. Okay. Well, that was his last card in hand, so. Well, the opponent's down to very few cards in hand and doesn't have any other card advantage on the battlefield, so. Alright. We'll go to game 2. So, Abzan Knights versus Grixis Midrange. Well, it's Midrange because he's got the main board Thief of Sanities, you know. So, Profane Procession would be nice. We can't flip a Bolus because we don't have red, and you can't flip Bolus anyway. It goes back under its owner's control. But this would be decent against Bolus in the late game. Carnage Tyrant's also Carnage Tyrant's probably exactly what you want in this matchup. Lyra is just she's killable. She's really killable when Carnage Tyrant's not. I do wanna say that I need some way to remove the Thief, right? I really need a way to remove the Thief. I don't think I'm going to be. I don't think I'm as heavy into Knight of Autumn in this matchup. Like, so maybe not so many Knight of Autumns. But then again, Knight of Malice isn't great here either. Even though he was great in the last game. So maybe I'll take out the 2 Knight of Malice. Yeah, we'll do that. Take out the 2 Knight of Malice and 1 Knight of Autumn. Bring in, you know, kill spells for the Thief and bring in some Carnage Tyrants. And then if we can just get into an aggressive line down and then just start sweeping or killing his blocker, then we should be all right. But he is going to have a ton of removal. I am expecting some sweepers too, so maybe Knight of Autumn's really good because you can technically make it a 4/3. Well, all right, I get the fact that, you know, Knight of Keeper of the Swiss Army Knife, but we didn't see any artifacts or enchantments we want to pop. I don't think there are any. As far as gaining 4 life, we would have to be way behind to start, like, for us to be worried about life gain. We do still want to be the aggressor in this matchup. I definitely thought about Duress, and if I didn't think I was playing against a mid-range deck, maybe Duress would be the way to go. If we did use Duress, what would we take out? It has to be non-creature spells, because I don't want to weaken my Fine Finale anymore. And like if it was a version that didn't have Thief, then I wouldn't worry so much about the Moment of Craving. I'd probably play Duress. As far as his version, though, I think I want it like this. Profane lets you steal his Bolus and any other creatures. I do get that. I think it might be a little slow, and we're not so worried about stealing them as we are just applying pressure. Oh man, this is a horrible pressure hand. I also don't want to. I don't want to get rid of it, but it's 5 land. I'm gonna get rid of the hand. Oh, I'll keep. We're gonna put that on the bottom. Oh, the lands. Making you sweat over there. I'm sorry, Justin. Okay, well, just nice and slow here. If we can get to a Vivian read, life should be decent. Although I'm sure he's got Vraska's Contempts. We do need to start taxing his hand as early as possible, and this is currently not going to do it. That ain't going to help. Oh man, there goes Viv. Unless he's got a Thief of Sanity in hand, then there goes Moment of Craving. But I don't think he can let us keep a Vivian in hand, seeing the number of lands we got. Because we were getting there. We were going to get to that Vivian read. I'll play one that he knows about. I don't see me needing an untapped land on 4 as of right now. So... okay. Like main board or sorry, main phase op. Don't understand. Could bluff the counter. Or not. You can just play it now. It is one of the few cards he didn't know about, but we'll play it anyway. Is this the bolus? This is the great and magnificent bolus. Grace us with his presence. We'll get rid of a Sun Petal Grove. Oh man, I should have kept the foil one. What was I thinking? Alright, well, we do have to survive the bolus for a little bit longer. Methinks we kept a bad hand. You might be right. Sir Eccles! Prepare to mull to 0. Oh man, I don't want to mull to 0. Yeah, there was a ton of land in the hand. I just didn't want to go to 5. Bad mulligan discipline, huh? You've mulled to 2 before and won. Yeah, I think mull to 5 would have been very rough as well. No, Angrath. I mean, we just give it to him so that Angrath can take it away and sack it, and then he draws a card. I don't like that. I don't like it. Like, what's sad is in control matchups, you really want to use Fine, not Finale. And here, I'm praying that I can get to a Finale. Honestly, we're so far behind at this point that I don't know if I can catch up. We just haven't done anything this game, so. Yeah. Keeping a slow hand and then being thought erasured, it's not where you want to be. The power of thought erasure. Yep. Because Finale won't get that. He'll still have Angrath. He'll hit me for 6 next turn, and then I would have to top deck multiple Vraska's Contempts in order to beat him. Alright, so yeah, he does have Phoenixes, which Profane Procession is probably going to be pretty good for those. Even though it would be slow, I am going to take out a couple Mortifies for it. Maybe he doesn't have Thief of Sanity. Maybe we can just hope and pray we can get around Thief of Sanity. And if we can, then I'm going to go with Duress. Scoop phase. Don't give any more information. Right. We would love to play first. Alright, we've got 2 lands. We don't have any of our knights. We've got double Shalai, Profane Procession. I mean, we've got 1 knight, but we can't play it. Slow curve. and we're on the play, I think I have to mulligan this. Oh, it doesn't look much better. I'm going to keep it. He mulliganed to 6, though, so that's good for us. Duress, sure, I'll keep that. So we'll just come in a turn slow. At least we get to Duress, though. That'll help some. Okay, let's see what we're working with. Alright, so he does still have the Thief of Sanities. He still has Nicol Bolas. As far as lands go, though, our opponent is stuck on mana. Badly. As of right now, he can draw any of his lands and cast a cast out. I think I take the treasure map because he can cast it no matter what he gets. And it would start giving him advantage. I'm taking the treasure map. It could have been the op there, but he just doesn't have a blue source, and where there's no guaranteeing that he's going to get a blue source. Any land puts him on treasure map, and there's our big bad turn 3. See? That would have put him on treasure map. I mean, do I Midnight Reaper and have him kill it? I mean, if I'm Midnight Reaper, he's going to kill it. What's the chances that the blue one is the one land in his deck he doesn't have? And we just Assassin's Trophy is... Man, that seems too much, right? I don't want him to kill the Midnight Reaper. So, I'm going to produce a threat that he can kill. Maybe because we know it's going to die, it would just be better to take the 4 life off of it. So, I don't know. Because we're pretty sure he was just going to kill it no matter what, right? So just gaining 4 life might have been the better value. I mean, he's staying in there, though. And then next turn we can play Shalai. And at that point, he's in a lot of trouble. I want to know. I just want to know if he has an island in the deck. There's basic. We know he's got two mountains. Does he have an island, though? I left him with all of his blue cards. That's how I'm using my mana. We're just presenting lethal next turn. Yep, just pump and hey, treat it like it's a Bitcoin, right? Pump and dump. Trophy seems greedy here. Yeah, I just want to know if he has an island. He's going up. Was it? Whoa, he's doing some other stuff. Is this a bolus? So here's my question. If he had an island, would he get the island if I killed the bolus with Assassin's Trophy? I mean, he's probably just going to scoop. But he would get something other than like, he would get an island if he had one, right? He would get an island. Because he's got a double blue spell in his hand, right? Like, he would get an island. I sent him a message. I doubt he'll answer it, though. Ditch Trophy? Why would I ditch Trophy? I didn't have enough mana to actually play Profane Procession and activate it. So it would have been better to actually remove his blocker and then just kill him because we were lethal on board. You'd have blown up that Dragon Skull Summit. I messaged him and asked him did he have an island, but he never replied. There's a good chance that he had an island. He did have the Surveil counter. Most of the time you use the one for the extra damage. Ionize if you don't have, easy double blue. So, all right, Justin Clay, thank you very much for the deck, man. All in all, I really did like it. I do think that you might have a little bit of room somewhere. But man, as long as you're really wanting to hit, as long as you're putting value on turn 3 History of Benalia, then you really just don't have room to change anything in your mana base except for, white, and you're already running the max number of white split lands. So I get it, man. Like at this point, this is the only options you have. So the big one is you're wanting to cast that double color on turn 3, and I'm guessing the opponent didn't have 18 blue sources in his deck, so he couldn't cast. What is the Surveil counter? Oh my goodness, I've lost it. Not counter surveillance. Oh my goodness, I cannot think of it. Why you give up on Grixis? No, don't give up on Grixis. The Grixis deck, man, like, yeah, don't give up. Sinister Sabotage. CC, thank you. CC squared has my back. Yes, Sinister Sabotage. I appreciate it, guys. Y'all are awesome. Well, everybody's in on it. Yep, that one. Sinister Sabotage. Yeah, so that requires 18. Sorry, I'm reading chat. Have I tried the 4th Mana Lord? What? The 4th Mana Lord? 4 Mana Lord? Oh, like the Night Lord, and it's got an ability on it where you can give all knights double strike. Seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. All right. What would I change? I would test it with Ooze. I would test and just see how good Ooze was. I have found that I really like the Ooze. As far as the sideboard goes, cards that I would not change out of the sideboard, and I just believe that they're extremely important. As far as, I mean, and you can even put this in the maybe. I kind of like everything you got going on here. As far as these 3 cards, you probably have a little bit of room to manipulate a little bit here. I don't think you need so much in the way of graveyard destruction, but life gain. So if this card's really for anything, I think it's better for life gain than it is graveyard destruction. But being able to eat a risk factor out of the graveyard seems great. So I do like that. But Death Gorge Scavenger, only if you're really expecting to run up into a lot of red decks, do I think that you're going to need multiple Death Gorge Scavengers. And if you do think that that's a possibility, then awesome. As far as these 3 cards go, if you replace the Phyrexian Scriptures, I think you would want to at least have something like Cry of Carnium or something of that nature. I know Cry doesn't work really that well for you, so you might want to go with Golden Demise. If you don't like those options and you're okay with waiting till turn 5, leave it Phyrexian Scriptures and move on. But if you are going to change out the Phyrexian Scriptures card in your sideboard, go with another card that's going to take away multiple of their cards per turn. So some type of sweeper. And then as far as extra spot removal, maybe the additional Profane Procession may not be exactly what you're looking into, but if you're having a lot of luck with Profane Procession, by all means hang on to it. I think that this is kind of like situational spot removal, and you might even be able to get away with a Eldest Reborn or something like that in here, just depending on what you're running into. You may even want to play something like a Vona's Hunger, just some way to force them to sacrifice a dude. Just food for thought on that one. Otherwise, if you just don't like any of the other spot removal cards, then yeah, keep the Profane Procession. And then for the last slot, I would actually put some way to gain some life. I know that you got a little bit of life gain in the Knights of Autumn against the red decks and things like that. I just don't think that you need 3 cards dedicated to graveyard destruction right now. And if you don't need that many cards dedicated to, hating their graveyard, which you can also do with Phyrexian Scriptures, then that means that the real benefit of Death Gorge Scavenger is he's going to block and stop some life that way. He's going to eat a creature card out of the graveyard and gain you a little bit of life that way. So this is really just a life gain spell in some form or fashion. So consider something else that could possibly gain you life. Yeah, chat's mentioning Consume is a really good card, and they're right. That's probably the card you want to have, because it'll actually fit in the life gain aspect of things. It works with making them sacrifice a creature, like I was saying with Vona's Hunger. Also works with you're going to gain the life. It does the Eldest Reborn thing, and it always takes their biggest dude. So yeah, maybe Consume's what you want here in this spot, and that could also end up fitting in the additional Profane Procession spot, giving you Consumes here. And if I'm not mistaken, it still doubles as a little bit of graveyard hate. You don't get the body out of it, but Consume might be what you want. So that's my thoughts. That's the feedback on the deck, man. I hope I didn't upset you too much with some things I said about the deck. But all in all, I actually had a lot of fun with the deck, and it was nice to stomp on old Grixis, right? Just stomp on Grixis. Nobody likes Grixis. Everybody hates Grixis. Wait a minute. It's my favorite colors. I love Grixis. Why are we beating up on Grixis again? All right. You really got to go. About to be in the doghouse if you don't get off. Bye, everyone. Mr. Tolston, take care, sir. We'll see you next time. All right, so next on the list here, we've got Rush's deck. All right, so this is... all right. I guess we need to start with mana base. So if we're going to talk about the mana base, let's go ahead and pull this back up. I know you guys won't be able to see chat there, but I mean, I guess I could always do it like this. I don't know. Nah. And we'll go back this way. Anyway, we'll just have this big clunky thing here in the corner. So we're going to talk about the mana base a little bit. We know for 4 drops that have 2 of the same CMC, or 2 of the same pips in the CMC, we're going to need 16 of that color. So if we start counting our red spells here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's get down to the Rootbound Crags. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. and we need 16. So we're too short on being able to consistently cast a rekindling phoenix. It's going to happen sometimes. It's not going to happen other times. So if we find it when we're looking at our other colors that we can add 2 additional red, then we're probably going to want to do that. All right, but let's look at another important spell to cast, and that's going to be Bedevil. Being able to cast this on 3, or even being able to cast J-Light Ranger on 3, is going to be very important for us. So something to consider here is we're going to need at least 18 black sources to be able to cast these Bedevils on turn, right? So we go back down through the count again. We start with our 5 here, and then let's scroll down. 6, 7, 8, 9. Get to the bottom. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right, so we're at 14. Need 18 to be able to consistently cast Bedevil. We've got 14. We need 16 to be able to consistently cast Vraska's Contempt. Okay. We get to looking at J-Light Ranger. We know that we need 16 to be able to cast 2 pips on 3. So 16 green. Do we have that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mark that. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We're actually still don't really have enough to consistently cast the J-Light Ranger because we need 18. So that's going to bring us to, are we allowed to play? Like, just by deck construction alone? I know you got those memorized a lot better than I do, James, and I do have to keep looking back over at them. 16 for a 3-drop with double, or sorry, 18, and then 16 for these. But I do have to keep looking back, and I recommend you guys do the same thing. Check the chart. Just keep going back to the chart. Go back to the website here. I think I still got it. We'll link it again. Check out the article. You'll know a lot more about these converted mana costs. Rush, by all means, man. Save this link, and as you're building your decks, you're going to get into this point where you're like, well, I can't consistently cast J-Light on 3. Well, if I can't consistently cast J-Light on 3, and I can't consistently cast Devil on 3, and I can't consistently cast Vraska's Contempt on 4, or Rekindling Phoenix on 4, then maybe we can't put all of these spells in the same deck to have a consistent, powerful deck. This is one of the things you guys are going to want to look at a lot of times when we start talking about these really powerful color combinations like Sultai and Jun. A lot of times, we're always talking about, hey, like, there's so many good cards. Like, what cards do you really want to put in these decks? I hear it all the time. Well, you can run this, you can run that, but there's just so many good spells that I just want to run this and this and this. This is how you're going to choose what you want to run versus what you don't want to run. When you start building your mana base and you start looking at, well, I could play this package of cards here, but if I do play this package of cards, then I'm going to play the entire package a turn behind, weakening the entire package, right? Well, Still Leaf technically needs 23, but you also don't necessarily need that because we have Llanowar in the format, which brings up a whole nother thing, because you get a whole nother probability. Like your probability changes completely when you add in the chance that you have 4 in 60 chance. It's actually better than that because you, out of all of your opening cards of being a Llanowar elf, and then that would technically help you get into Still Leaf Champion even quicker, and then you could still cast it on 3 with a red source, because you had Llanowar elf. So anyway, Still Leaf's a little bit different, mainly because it's got a Llanowar elf, right? But for argument's sake, we're going to use Goblin Chain Whirler, which, granted, you could Skirt Prospector do the same thing, so maybe I should change it to Tempest Gen, right? Anyway, that's not the real point. The real point here is when you get to looking at all of the great cards that are in your deck that are 91.4%. Right, we're trying to hit a 93%, 90 to 93%. So yeah, you could probably peel back. Like if you look at the difference at being able to cast Chain Whirler, if you look at the bottom two there on the page, you're going to see, like Chain Whirler for 23 on turn 3 consistently, but if you want to cast it on turn 4, you actually only need 20 to consistently cast it on turn 4, right? So you get a huge change just by saying, I'll try to cast that on turn 4 instead of 3. And if you're willing to do that, then you can actually free up a lot of room in your mana base. But again, mid-range decks don't always have to curve out. You're right, Sir Eccles. You're right. But most of the time you do. Most of the time you really, really want to curve out, especially with your Merfolk Branchwalkers and your Jadelight Rangers. So, I mean, those are the cards that are going to give you more card advantage to help you see more cards so that you can have a better chance at getting your double black or your double green. But even if we say we're not that worried about curving out, we're looking at this entire section at not having enough to curve out, right? That's quite a few cards here, guys. I mean, we're looking at 8, 12, 14 cards that won't that may not curve out. Rush is going, just play it. I did the same thing to Rush is like, don't even do the deck tech. I don't even want to hear it now. Just play it. All right, so I think I've beat a dead horse on this one. My thing is choose a different package in this area, which will help you make some changes to the mana base and smooth everything out. Chances are, though, you're still going to have about a 80%. If I was just guessing at it, it's still curving out, doing just fine. And that's really not going to affect you unless you're trying to go like 10-0 at the next SCG Open or something. So if you're really trying to bring up the competitiveness of the deck, though, just keep your mana base by the numbers. Go from there. If you can't fit by the numbers, then you should probably drop some cards in your deck, right? Anyway, trust the deck you must. We will trust the deck. And we're going to trust the deck to start off here with some Kite-Cell freebooters, ripping some cards out of our opponent's hand. Lava Coil, one of the best pieces of removal in the format. If you're going to be in red, if you're building a Merfolk Branchwalker Jadelight Ranger deck that was, green-black and you wanted to splash red, one of the biggest reasons to splash red, in my opinion, would be Lava Coil or Bedevil. I mean, these are just absolutely terrific cards to be splashing red for. I also like Vraska's Contempt. Don't necessarily think we need 6 copies of this effect, but maybe that is highly plausible. We've also, we've got the Jadelight Rangers and the Merfolk Branchwalkers, so when we get to the sideboard, and I'll just go ahead and pull that out really quick, for our Wild Growth Walkers, if we do want to get into those Wild Growth Walkers and gain some additional life against like red decks and stuff, we have that option for game 2 and game 3. And then as far as turn 4 goes, we have the recursive aerial threat of Rekindling Phoenix. Really, really sweet at being able to to block against the Drake stacks and things like that, and then can still pressure back on our opponent. Getting multiples of these downs can create quite an air force, which is really good at protecting our planeswalkers, which we've got no small amount of here. Multiple copies of Angrath and the 4-mana Vraska Golgari Queen. There's a nice little interaction here with Vraska Golgari Queen, being able to sacrifice a Rekindling Phoenix to get an extra draw. It is risky, but if your opponent is kind of just hell-bent living off the top of the deck, and you're both living off the top of the deck, and it's just something that you want to do, that is an option. You can do that with with little risk if you're in the right situation, but in other situations there's going to be a ton of risk. Also, if you think you're about to cast something like a Fine Finale, you're going to cast the Finale and you're going to lose multiple of your creatures, you can always uptick, eat one of those, and draw a card first, gain a life as well, which is not that bad. And then, of course, topping off with Carnage Tyrant and Vraska Relic Seeker. Now, we haven't seen a ton of Vraska Relic Seeker since about midway through last season, when most of the decks started shifting off of Vraska Relic Seeker and just going into Vivian Reed for just more raw card advantage. But I do like Vraska Relic Seeker, and she can win games all by herself. So it's definitely something to look at. All in all, I cannot do the Blood Crypt thing, I think. Nope, I would have to order a Blood Crypt. So I can't do that, but I can take out the mountain and bring in a Rhythm of the Wild. Which means now we don't have another card for the sideboard. So you're going to get a Moment of Craving. There we go. Foil, shiny, Moment of Craving. Anyway, I think Moment of Craving is pretty decent anyway. So now we went down to 23 lands. Cutting another red source means that it's going to be even harder to get Rekindling Phoenix. So that's a thing. It's amazing how we just explained how this is bad, and that's exactly what you want to do. We've got a Rhythm of the Wild in the main deck now. Let's play some Magic. Let's go play some Magic. Cindervines. I've actually got to talk about Cindervines here. This card's actually really sweet. I like Cindervines. I think this is really good against like the Nexus of Fate decks, decks like that. Just any deck that is wanting to just cast a ton of spells, Cindervines is going to do really good versus them. And if you're starting out with your Merfolk Branchwalkers and your J-Light Rangers, you're getting aggressive even in the slightest amount, then Cindervines is going to do some serious damage to them. Also, you can play it early in the game, have this just sit on the battlefield, and then when you need to destroy an important enchantment or artifact, it will not only destroy it for 1 mana, but it'll also do 2 additional damage to your opponent. Definitely something to think about, and just kind of, I can see why, we have copies of this in spades. We've got 4 copies here. Rhythm of the Wild in the sideboard, giving us the ability to just get a little bit faster. So, I have to get 2 to 3 land hand. Okay, so if we don't have a 2 to 3 land hand, we mulligan. What if we only have a 2 land hand? Do we keep, or do we mulligan, or? This is Rush's deck, everyone. Here we go. It also destroys enchantments and artifacts. Yes, it does. All right. Well, look, we've got a really sweet hand, guys. I don't think that we can ask for much better than this, considering we already have our double red. We also have the Blood Crypt, which is the only copy of this in the entire deck, which means it's going to turn on our Rootbound Crags and our Woodland Cemeteries. And that's pretty good, considering we're playing against a pirate deck. Yep, an aggressive little pirate deck. We also get the turn 3 J-Light Ranger off. I would love to top deck a Merfolk Branchwalker right here. Okay, so he gets a Vraska Golgari Queen. The good news for us is these Rekindling Phoenixes are going to be hard to deal with, unless he goes like Blue Source, Unmoored Ego, go. Yeah, look at that curve. Right? Perfect. We got the 1 copy of Blood Crypt, and we're just going to roll with it. Yeah. And it's got to have faith. Throws chair. I love it. Throws chair. Even got the overgrown tomb. Look at that. Can't get much better than this. You're so annoyed at me? Why are you annoyed at me? Like, I just went in depth explaining how you're going to cut your odds down. And then you're like, take another red out. Okay. I mean, hey, you still got about an 80% chance of this thing working right. But we want it to work right every time. Every time. One of these days I might tell you a joke about, just in case. Just in case. No, lightning struck us. We've been struck by lightning. I think I put it in the graveyard. Like, what am I doing the next, like, 3 turns other than just casting Rekindling Phoenix? Yay! So yeah, we just play Rootbound Crag Rekindling Phoenix for the next foreseeable future. We don't have a foreseeable future. %60 of the time, it works every time. There you go. Well, I mean, the opponent got a card in hand. Oh, he even gets the lightning strikers. Woo. Look at that. I mean, I could have blocked. Yeah. I could have blocked the 5-2. And we wouldn't have been at -17. We'd only been at -12. Right. All right. This is horrible. What is going on? So I think Rhythm of the Wild's a little bit slow. Right? We need to be putting bodies out or killing stuff. Right? I don't think Duress is going to be really good because it's Duress. I really think we're going to need Wild Growth Walker to gain some life. That being said, I don't want to get rid of removal. And Vraska, if we play her, we're going to be down taking Vraska, right? Like, this is going to be 4 mana removal. As far as Rekindling Phoenix goes, if we do start to play Rekindling Phoenixes, we're going to be in a nice spot. Kitesail Freebooter is going to block, you know, some of the smaller things, but you know that Moment of Craving is going to be all right. So we got that Moment of Craving in here. We're going to bring in the Wild Growth Walkers. I don't actually think we've got a lot of time to get in on the big creatures. So I'm going to pull the Tyrants out, and I'm actually going to pull out Vraska herself. I do believe that we can get away with using Angraft as removal and using small Vraska as removal, but I just don't think that we're going to have the time to play these 6 converted mana cost spells. And you know, the only 6-drop I'm really wanting to play is a Finale and sweep the board and then just start, you know, taking over from there. As far as other cards I would consider, it would be Kitesail Freebooter. I do think that I might be able to pull a couple sweet pieces of removal from him with Kitesail Freebooter. I don't think there's anything else I would want to bring in as far as looking at the sideboard to make me warrant taking out another body. If I thought he had more spells, then I would look into maybe a Duress or Cindervines. Again, I still think Rhythm of the Wild is really, really slow compared to these red-black pirate decks. They're super, super fast and normally can kill you by like turn 4 or turn 5. So we just got to stay on top of it. And I still think this is about how I should sideboard. Again, if I had more like removal, if there were like 3 more Moment of Cravings in the sideboard, I would get rid of Kitesail Freebooters in order to do that. Yeah. James is still on me about taking out some freebooters to bring in walkers. I think you guys are just way behind on chat. Alright, well, I don't think I can pass this up because I've already got my double green, right? And we know how important that is going to be. All we're looking for is to hit one non-green so that we can start playing Jade Lights. And I'm probably even like depending on how slow our hand comes in. Like this is a really slow hand, but if we can get these kite sail freebooters down, we might be all right. Knowing what we're going against, though, it might have been worth it for me to actually mulligan. But I'm putting a lot of faith in the Wild Growth Walker and J-Light Ranger strategy. Untap Forest or Swamp. That would be perfect right now. I would pay 2 life to have something come in untap right now. Come on. Put me to my word, deck. There you go. There you go. I do want to test the boundaries here so we can get. All right, so we'll take his active treason. As far as cards the opponent has access to, he's got a Direfleet Captain, which is just going to give everything. It's going to get a +1/+1 for each other attacking pirate. So that's not, you know, horrible. We can outgrow that or work around it. It could be mean later, but we can work around it. And then since we know he doesn't have, and he played his Swamp as Captain. So we're only going to want to play a 2-drop this turn. I'm going to go ahead and get the Wild Growth Walker down. Like, I just think it was smoother for us to set up for this rather than just kind of like slam a Wild Growth Walker into, you know, unknown territory. Ha 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 ha. Okay, so one of his draws was a mountain. He played a land that we didn't already know about. Do you think he's got that Buccaneers bravado? It may not even be worth it for me to block here, because if he had the bravado, that would have been bad for us. But we know one of his draws was a land. He's gonna he's hard casting the Daring Buccaneer. All right. So we can actually just play this and remove some stuff, but we can also just get big. Get big and go for some land drops. Well, that's nasty. We got those land drops though. I'm not gonna swing yet. So he's got Blood Crypt, Unclaimed Territory. Dev level punt? What? What punt did I make? What punt did I make? I'm just happy that next turn I can go J-Light and Kite Sail. Oh, pun. Oh, the Unclaimed Territory one. Gotcha. I forget you guys are way behind me. Yeah, Dev's a lot punnier than I am. I'm not quite so punny. Just don't have the wit. Ooh, look, we got a red source. Yay, us. He still hasn't he played his unclaimed territory, but we know one of his cards is let's see what the other card is. Let's just see what it is. Alright, so Jade Light Ranger, so explore some more. He's going to shoot the Jade Light, so we don't get the +1/+1 counters on it. We do not want another Kite Sail Freebooter. So we get rid of it and draw a land. I mean, I'm pretty sure we get to swing here. Start closing this game out. This thing doesn't have an ability, does it? Like first strike or something. That's the rigging runner with first strike, isn't it? No! Anything but that. I mean, we take 10. I mean, I guess I could put the Kite Sail Freebooter in front of something, but nah. Oh man, this is so good. Lava Coil? What a thing. I'm just going to keep 2 blockers back. I mean, if I can somehow save the Vraska, I will. But, yeah, there we go. Red stuff cost us the game last game. It did. We just had too many 4-drops. But we're alright now. We're doing okay. You know, he's got the well, he played the Direfleet Darebreaker. Alright, so we don't know any of his cards in his hand. How's he not ready to scoop? There we go. There's the scoop. Mr. Franklin, you called it. How is he not ready to scoop? And there it comes. Again, I don't think I sideboard any differently here, whether I'm on the draw or the play. Would love to see more Moment of Cravings, but it's what we got. Woodland Stream we'll have to do for now. I don't think you need Kite Sail Freebooter in this deck. Like, seems like Kite Sail Freebooter is good. It's really good if you're in a control meta. I can see like having this as a direct swap out for your Wild Growth Walkers in a lot of matchups. So, yeah. They quiet now. I don't hear you talking about land, and you're still too many lands short to play Rekindling Phoenix on what would be considered a competitive or consistent manner. You're about 10 to 15% short, so you've got a really good deck, and your friends are trying to tell you how you can make it better, man. And all you want to do is fight with us. That's what I have found funny about it. We're not saying your deck sucks, dude. We're saying you got a cool deck, and we would love to be able to help you make it better. That's what we're saying. All right. I think that I have to keep this. We just kind of pray that we get this Merfolk Branchwalker to give us another green source, so that we can actually play the Jade Light Ranger. I think I have to keep it. How do cards like Hadana's Climb? Well, he does talk about it in the article about cards that are like 1 blue, 1 green, and a colorless. You would just treat it as it was 1 generic, and then it was also the other generic. So if you needed, say, 13 of a certain land to be able to hit, you know, one pip of that color on turn 3, then you would need to do 13 of both of those colors. As far as flipping it, I wouldn't count any consistency whatsoever towards flipping the card. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't actually give it any. I wouldn't put any stock in being able to flip it, because the amount of math that you're actually going to be able to do there, or find any true probability on, how many games am I going to run up against, where the meta's at, am I more likely to come up against decks that are actually destroying things, am I less likely to come up against decks that are actually destroying things, can I flip Hadana's Climb, maybe the card's not Hadana's Climb. So I just wouldn't even worry about, aspects that can happen in the game. But your mana base is meant to help you cast your spells, and having an effective mana base will help you cast those spells on turn. And hey, look, we got there. It'll help you cast your spells on turn and give you a nice consistency. So that's basically the only thing we can really do with our mana bases, and not like get into some ridiculous probabilities of what could and could not happen, as far as like, can we flip this on turn 3? What percentage of times? You can use a hypergeometric calculator and draw up like your percentage of actually like playing out all those cards in order to make these things happen, and you can get some probability that way. But you're never going to be able to really crunch any true numbers on probability of what your opponents are going to do, and a lot of times that's going to take a lot of bearing, and I just don't think it's going to work for you. All right, so I guess, yeah, he's tapped out, so we'll go for the. There's no point in going for like a Merfolk Branchwalker, right? Because if he kills the Jade Light Ranger, we could technically Merfolk Branchwalker and play a Finale or a Fine next turn. Although, if I can hang in at all, I am probably wanting to cast Finale this game. Opponent. This is gross. Alright, so we'll play a Phoenix. Grasping Scoundrel. Yeah, so if we play the Phoenix here. Also, another thing to think about, Rush, and it again, this is one of those things that are really hard to wrap your hypergeometric calculator around, is we're drawing a lot of these cards because we're being able to see more cards because we have cards like Merfolk Branchwalker and Jade Light Ranger. If you started removing, cards that actually looked at more cards, then you're going to have an even less probability of hitting your higher end. So, we're just trying to be better Magic players here, Rush. That's it. But I like how chat just all of a sudden went from a bunch of little text to now people are writing like full books, man. We got paragraphs in here. What is going on? Chat with paragraphs. That's what I want to kill. I want to stop damage, right? So I'm not worried about Kite's Elf Freebooter. I think I just Branchwalker. If he's got another Lightning Strike, I am in so much trouble. We'll go to the graveyard with that. Just don't need it. He's down to one card left in hand, which means if he can't just like slap the win together right now. Why didn't I wipe the board? What was I supposed to wipe the board with? I've got 5 mana on the battlefield. This requires 6 mana to wipe the board. Oh my goodness, what did I miss? What can wipe the board? You're messing with me, Rush. You're messing with me. Yeah, but now he gets to Kai'Sel Freebooter and take it. So, that's a thing. If he does that, though, hey, he scooped it up. He's like, well, darn, if I take this, then he bedevils that, and then, oh, man. Right, because now he can't swing because we get the Vraska's Contempt back. If we get Vraska's Contempt back, we contempt the other Kai'Sel Freebooter, which will guarantee our Fine Finale back and gain us some life. So, yeah. Yeah. Alright. Rush, you did it, man. Your John Walker's deck pulled it out. The deck's sweet. I do like the Walker theme. I don't like Rhythm of the Wild. I think Rhythm of the Wild is just too slow. I understand the Kai'Sel Freebooter Wild Growth Walker trade out. I think that that this is fair against control versus you know, aggressive decks. You bring in the Wild Growth Walkers versus aggressive decks. You take out the Kai'Sel Freebooters, that sort of thing. The card I would just dump would be Rhythm of the Wild, man. Like, I'd get rid of Rhythm of the Wild altogether and just make me some more room for cards like Moment of Craving. Just some more spot removal that could possibly gain you some life. That being said, you might want to look into, you know, other aspects, maybe you know, maybe something like that. When it comes to this block of the deck, though, I still think that if you want to increase your consistency over time, and this is talking about winning every week at your F&M, that sort of thing, like that's where we're trying to push these decks for you guys, is so that, you know, you have the most powerful deck every single time. If you're going to keep your mana base where it's at, then you're going to have to consider peeling back on some of these cards. That being said, with 4 Bedevils, you might be able to put some Vraska's Contempts in the sideboard. You might want to peel back on 1 Rekindling Phoenix, and you know, that would help a lot. Just not running so many Rekindling Phoenix. Maybe you're not a 4 Rekindling Phoenix deck. I am not going to say that the deck is, you know, complete by any means, because I don't believe the mana base is where it needs to be. But you've definitely got the tools in order to fix your mana base. And again, I think that the deck is, you know, Rhythm is wasted space in the deck, and I think you could do better. I think you could do better than Rhythm in this deck. All in all, though, I do like the idea. If you ended up with some Vivian Reeds, then, you know, put this Vraska in the sideboard, bring in a Vivian Reed or something. That'll help you get more lands. That'll help you dig for specific lands. That's going to help you dig for specific creatures and things like that, and that would help a lot. So that's something to think about. If you do think you're in this really heavy control meta, then Angrath's probably in a really good spot. So, but if you start dying to a bunch of, you know, aggressive decks, which we were very close to dying to some aggressive decks there, then in that case, you know, you might want to look into like Cry the Carnium, something like that out of your sideboard. Definitely think that you could get away with some Cry the Carniums in this deck. You've even got a 2-slot as of right now, and you could put a Moment of Craving in the main board. So, right, you could put this Moment of Craving, you could bring in another Moment of Craving and Cry the Carnium, and maybe even cut one of your Cindervines, go to 3 Cindervines. It's a really important card in certain matches, I get that. But that's my advice. So that's run Crassus, right? You need blue to run Crassus. So just splash blue in this deck as well to run some Crassus. Is that where you guys are at on this now? Oh my goodness. All right, let's move on to this. So we're going to talk about this mana base really, really quick, making sure that we can cast everything. We've already covered it because it's monocolored. There are no big mana sinks in this deck, so there's no real reason to be on Cabal Stronghold. Now, if you wanted to run like a Memorial to Folly or something like that, I didn't actually pull any for this deck, so Magic Cafe, forgive me, I forgot about Memorial to Folly, but I'm really trying to hit the mana bases tonight. I think that you could get away with some Memorial to Follies. Because you're really low on the curve, though, I wouldn't put more than 2 Memorial to Follies in the deck, because you would hate to only have 2 land, and they both be Memorial to Follies, and, you know, you're a turn late. I don't think this deck's going to do really good in games where it's a turn late. So, that being said, let's look at the deck. We've got Diregraph Ghouls here as a 4 of. We've also got 4 Gutter Bones. These work really good with Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Priest of the Forgotten Gods, we can sack, you know, Gutter Bones. We can sack Doom Dissenters. Doom Dissenters is going to create another body. We sack our Reassembling Skeletons. We get another body. We sack the Reassembling Skeleton, we can get it back to the battlefield tapped. It's a skeleton. The Doom Dissenter creates a zombie. Gutter Bones is a skeleton. Diregraph Ghoul is a zombie. These things all work really well with our Death Baron, which says skeletons and skeletons you control and other zombies you control get +1/+1 and have Death Touch. So, you know, that's kind of where we're at here. Is we've got Death Touch. We're going to be able to swing in. We're going to be able to continue to you know, apply aggression even on opponents that think that they're going to be able to profitably block. We're still going to keep getting that chip damage in, and then when we can't you know, get in with chip damage, we're going to sacrifice our dudes. We're going to make them lose some guys with cards like Priest of the Forgotten Gods. And then we've got good removal here out of Vicious Offering. This is always just -2/-2, but if we really need it to be, we can sacrifice a dude and get it up to -5/-5. So we move from like Moment of Craving that doesn't gain life to having to sacrifice a creature to get a Dismember. Not bad. It is decent removal. As far as card draw goes, we are dependent upon having a creature on the battlefield because Costly Plunder is going to be our big draw card in this this particular deck. Now we can get a little bit of card value off of Priest of the Forgotten Gods, but we're really just going to be, you know, using Costly Plunder. And you know, we've got some upper end of the curve stuff here. Liliana, Touched by Death. I haven't played this since I tried to play the combo deck, and it's still a decent card. And if you've got some zombies in your graveyard, which we're probably going to have some zombies in our graveyard, we can cast those from the graveyard on a given turn if we want to. We could technically draw this late game and just you know, play it right off the bat. But then again, we get to mill ourselves and create zombies. We get to mill ourselves and drain our opponent if we need to do that. We can also just you know, do the -X things and possibly kill some of our opponent's creatures based on the number of zombies we have. We could end up having a ton of zombies because we do have cards like Open the Grave and Vraska's Contempt. We do have 2 copies of Vraska's Contempt just because we need the good removal. You could also get away with something like Murder, but when you have Contempt, I still think it's a little bit better than Murder, but not quite as good as something like Bedell. Some of you guys are talking about Plague Crafter. As far as the sideboard goes, we've got a huge discard package here in the sideboard, and then quite a large kill package. There's not a lot of other things you can do in black if you're already running most of the creatures in your creature strategy in the main board. The other options are pretty much, you know, bring in you know, Hand Disruption, which we have in Duress and Drill Bit. I actually went with Duress over Drill Bit, just because most of the time we want to go into the Hand Disruption aspect of the game. We want to do that against control decks, and a lot of times Duress is going to be enough. Drill Bit you could technically bring in against some decks that weren't necessarily just control. We bring this in against some of the mid-range decks and things like that. As far as cast down goes, you know, this will deal with, you know, a bunch of your different knights and you know, the white weenie decks and such. If you really, really wanted to, you could go Moment of Craving, but if I were going to change anything for Moment of Craving, it would probably be Vicious Offering, but I don't think we're necessarily going to have to do that. Cast Down, just good removal. It'll kill the ooze. As far as Vraska's Contempt goes, we know how good this is. And then in this deck, better than most other decks, Playcrafter is actually really, really good because we have Priest to be, to make them, lose a dude, lose a dude, lose a dude, and then you get to Playcrafter. That'll help out a lot. Playcrafter also works really good at trading. Your reassembling skeleton for the Playcrafter. You keep the Playcrafter, and you lose the reassembling skeleton, which isn't hard to get back. So just a lot of goodness there. That's the deck. That's the gist of it. Let's go play it. Now, remember, we were playing the Mayhem deck last night, and the Mayhem deck's really, really sweet. I like the Mayhem deck, and I think that Dev did a really good job with the Mayhem deck. We were talking about other ways you could take the black decks. This one's leaning a little bit more on tribal. I don't necessarily think that this is the best way to go. I don't necessarily think the other way is the best way to go. I don't necessarily think mono black would be the best way to go. I'm going to keep this hand. I don't necessarily think that mono black would be the best way to go, but since neither of them are like right up there as far as like top tier, I don't think you really have to worry about it. So that's what that's where I'm going to go with it. So got to go back to work later, Jareth. All right, so breeding pool. Argyle's Bloodfast is good. Argyle's Bloodfast is a decent way to draw cards. There's a lot of aggressive decks right now, and I don't think you're ever going to be able to get a lot of card value out of it versus some of those decks. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Argyle's Bloodfast right now. So he got a forest. Do we just swing anyway? Make him take 4? And play the priest? I think so. Like, I don't think we have the luxury of not playing our creatures. He's going to take out Gutter Bones. I'll play the Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Would love to get a land off the top. Right, so does he leave it, or does he show us something else? No. Alright, so that's on top of his deck. Land. Come on, land. Oh, that's not a land. It's not a land. So we only get through for 2 anyway. So I'm just going to do this. He sacks a dude. We draw a card. We get a Gutter Bones back. We play a Gutter Bones. Still get in for 2. Like, this is the best I got. I mean, we actually got in for 4 because, like, we actually got in for 4 because you could do the extra 2 points of damage here with Priest of the Forgotten Gods. So it's okay. It ended up alright. Elf Tribal Commander deck. Oh, no, don't do it. I can't play Commander. Like, nobody plays Commander, man. Nobody plays Commander on Magic Online, so. What's the punt? Where did I mess up? What other line was there to play? I don't even know if I had another line. Should have played Lotus. Ah, that's right. I didn't play the Lotus. Just want to see me waste 30 minutes on it. You're mean for this opponent. I didn't want to do it like this. That ain't how I wanted this to go down. But no. No. Opponent said no. We gotta just die now. Whatever. Ooh. Yeah, that's why I didn't swing with a priest. If y'all were wondering, that's why I didn't swing with priest. Plaguecrafter's probably gonna be really good right here. I'm gonna take out Open the Graves and Liliana. Vraska's Contempt could possibly be good. Drill Bit could probably be good. Maybe take out one Costly Plunder. And one of our 4 Reassembling Skeletons to bring in a little bit. Bring in some cast downs. This way we can just deal with problematic like Wild Growth Walkers and things like that. So. Yeah, the cast downs mainly for the Wild Growth Walkers. Right. If Priest is working, oh, it's working. But if it ain't working. Alright, so our opponent's on the play, right? I'm going to keep, just because we've got good removal, and I think we can get away with this. I think we can get away with this hand. I want to be able to get away with this hand. I mean, we're holding up Fatal Push, right? Should be alright. It's what kept Wild Growth Walker out of the format for so long anyway. Fatal Push. Alright, so we are hitting land. That's pretty sweet. Alright. Alright. What's the chances he doesn't have Jade Light here? Swing? No swings. You don't want to swing. You got nothing else to play. Don't play nothing. Don't play nothing, opponent. You're good. You're good. Just, yep, there you go. All right. Plaguecrafter. This feels good already. No more push. Oh, we don't have push? Oh, card was so good. It made people like think that the entire explore mechanic was bad. Aw, he ate our skeleton. That's mean, opponent. That is mean. You should not do that. Alright, so how do we want to do this? We just need to -2 this thing, right? And then we will just play our priest, because starting next turn we can play 2 creatures. Like we can get the gutter bones and the reassembling skeleton down, sacrifice the reassembling skeleton and the gutter bones, and actually just instantly get reassembling skeleton back to the battlefield. I don't know, that might work. There's a Jade Light. Okay. And we still get to swing for 3, so Thief of Sanity. I could just Vraska's Contempt this thing. I don't know. I think I get more value out of this. I think. Right, because we still have the 1 mana open to replay the Gutter Bones. We bring back the Gutter Bones. Right? Okay. I like it. I see where this is going. We draw a card. He sacks a dude. We hit a land. We can use the 2 mana we got to bring back Gutter Bones. And since we hit a land, we get to bring back Reassembling Skeleton on the spot. We're set to do it again next turn. Cast Baron after you Priest. Okay. Play Death Baron. What? Where are we on this have to play Death Baron thing? Like, the best way to make the Priest decks work is make sure that they never get more than 1 creature down per turn. Like, I'm confused on... Like, the way you make this deck work is you just repeat being able to put 2 creatures on the battlefield every single turn. And then there's, like, nothing your opponents can do about it. Now, I will play the Baron this time. Like, for sure. I'll even play the Gutter Bones here. I'm not going to swing with the Priest, though. Could you imagine Thief of Sanity with a Scarab God? Man, that would have been a nightmare. Just an absolute nightmare. So, like, what do they play? Like, they can't play Carnage Tyrant or anything. What are we worried about? Here's a Thief of Sanity. Alright, so I chose him. Get rid of these 2. He takes some more damage. We draw another card. We make some more mana. I'm going to do both. I'm going to get Gutter Bones back right now. Can I not get Gutter Bones back right now? Can this only be done as a sorcery? No. So I can get Reassembling Skeleton back. Give me my Gutter Bones. Activate this ability only during your turn. Alright, so it is, okay, my bad. It is only during my turn. Well, fine. Fine. Whatever, opponent. Just die, opponent. Yeah, I kept looking for sorcery, but it just says only during your turn. I was looking for as a sorcery, so I was expecting that at the end of the block, but I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, only during your turn. Magic Heft. Sweet little mono black deck, man. We just ran over a Sultai deck with it, and that's supposed to be one of the biggest and baddest decks there is in the format. So, I gave you my feedback earlier on what I thought about it, like if I would make any changes. I probably just wouldn't be all in on Vicious Offering, maybe a Moment of Craving or so in the deck. As far as Costly Plunder goes, I don't think you probably need more than 3 of these, so you could probably peel back a little bit on that. I wonder why the deck is called Mono Black Krats, or it's Krats. There's an R, Krat, not cats. Did I leave the R out? I could have sworn it said Kratz. Yeah. Anyway, uh, yeah, I think you could probably like shave a Costly Plunder, and I mean Vicious Offering's good, but Moment of Craving is going to kill most of the things that Vicious Offering will kill. There would be a situation where you might run into a scenario where you've got a Wild Growth Walker you want to kill, and you just can't do it with a Moment of Craving. Definitely, if you're going to have the sideboard, though, a couple copies of Cast Down need to be somewhere in the 75. It's just it's too precise at dealing with those Sultai decks. The Explorer decks with the Wild Growth Walkers and J-Light Rangers and such. So it pretty much just destroys those. Another thing that you might want to consider is some type of just overall sweeper, maybe Ritual of Soot or something. Granted, your deck's going to just die so hard to that. Other options, as far as aggressive options that can be put into the deck, if you're looking for other draw spells, because you're kind of on the zombie theme, maybe Midnight Reaper. Midnight Reaper could be very good in the deck. You're wanting to sack a bunch of things anyway. I think if I was going to run Midnight Reaper in the deck, I would just remove Open the Graves. The card's fun. I don't think you really need it. So, like, Midnight Reaper is a zombie knight. So, yeah, like, it would still fit. But again, you're going to have a couple spots as you peel back on some of these things. Or Open the Graves is definitely a cool card, and when you're just things are dying nonstop, you're just going to be getting all these zombies. And again, the deck's it's all about, I just want to, get my priest down, and then I just want to play 2 creatures every turn, or somehow make 2 creatures come back to the battlefield every turn. And the turn that they don't play 2 creatures is the turn you win. Because at that point you get ahead of them, so then when they can finally play 2 creatures in a turn, in response to one, you can kill one, and then you kill the other one on the next turn. So yeah, you're definitely in the right neighborhood. If I was going to add anything to the main board here, as is though, I would cut that Costly Plunder and add the 4th Priest of the Forgotten Gods. I don't think you want to be on just 3 of these. It's a card you want to see absolutely every single game. So that's it. We do have another deck coming up from Magic Hefe at some point either this week or next week. We've got a couple other decks. You guys will see that I have Azorius Tempo laid out here. This zombie deck was actually Magic Hefe's January deck. We pushed everything back, waiting until we had access to the cards. We've also got the February deck for him and for Justin Clay. I'm not 100% if Justin's still on wanting to see Azorius Tempo or not, but we may have this deck coming up for you guys. So there's going to be an episode 3 of the RNA decks. Should even be an episode 4 and possibly 5 and 6. So as those get spread out, I'll continue to bring these great little brews in. This is going to be my new format for doing this. So if you guys don't like my opinion on your decks, then I don't want to say don't submit them to me, but know when you submit them that I'm going to give you my fair opinion. I would hate to tell you, yeah, looks great, take it to F&M. Because I've done that, and that doesn't feel good, because then they come back, and go, what? I mean, this deck sucks. Why'd you tell me to actually play this? You thought you were my friend, and and that hurts. So do remember that if you are posting a deck for me to play for, the RNA decks or for whatever, I'm always going to be trying to give you some valid feedback. Again, though, on the mono black deck, I don't think any of the mono black decks are tier 1. I think they're all kind of floating in around tier 2. That doesn't mean they're bad decks. Doesn't mean they got the strongest lines, and they probably have some weakness to something in the format. Decks that had a lot of sweepers, control decks, things like that. But then again, you might just be able to get under those. So, as far as mono black decks go, I don't think that one strategy has such a significant power over another strategy that I wouldn't play one of the other strategies. So, you know, maybe trying to tune up some type of zombie skeleton deck, it might be just good enough to go spike those F&Ms and maybe even PPTQs and stuff. So anyway, just play the deck first before opinionating it. No, because the game that I play is not going to give a significant like test. Like, you would need to play this deck a lot to actually get real test in. Like, we're basically taking a shot in the dark and seeing if the deck will go off. Like, we're just trying to get the deck to go off to like showcase the power of the deck, not say that this is going to count as testing. I still think your deck is consistently broken, Rush, and I won't back off of that, and I've got math to support my claims. So yeah. Try unsealing again, Sam. I am. We might, and if you'll notice, I actually made the 4 CMC card on the chart here. I actually made it Sarkhan's unsealing just for you guys. I did that just for y'all. I could have picked anything that was 1 color and 3, but I picked Sarkhan unsealing for you guys. Math ain't everything, homie. Math ain't everything. You're right. You're right. You know what Richard Garfield's job was there, Rush? Just curious. Like what kind of what his profession was? Like what is you know, what kind of? He was a mathematician. All right, this game was created by a mathematician, and I have lost more games because I didn't do math than probably anything else. Like math is a lot to this game, and it's not just for blockers. Richard was an artist. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Anyway, you quite like this formatting, actually. Well, it's meant to help. So for those of you that actually like this format, then hopefully you guys will like that. You know, if you don't, then I'm not going to apologize for it, because I think this is the way I would want a deck doctor to be done. And you know, when we break down, hey, look, here's our consistencies on it. Let's see if it runs anyway. Then we'll go with that. But yeah, we were just breaking down the numbers on the mana bases, and it just looks like there could be some tweaks. So math plus magic equals mayhem. I love it, Magic Cafe. By the way, dude, your Kratz deck ran really sweet. All the decks ran really well tonight. We were undefeated for the night, and that feels really good. So, you know, keep brewing. Send me your decks. Those of you that want to join on Patreon, it's not too late to get your February decks in. So if you end up joining before the 15th, you can actually get in on February decks. Otherwise, you'll have to wait till next week. Don't peek at your deck. Post it. I'll pull it up. As far as supporting the channel, a lot of you have already done that. Thank you very much. If you watched the beginning of the stream, you've seen a number of different ways to support the channel. You can do that very thing. See that link, Mr. Tolston? I thought you were gone. I thought you were going to be in trouble if you didn't leave. So I thought you were adios, amigos. Amigo? Ever watch your video? I don't know, be informed. I don't know. Maybe I did. I don't know. Anyway, we've got a Sultai Control test deck. Let's see what this is. Let's see what this looks like. Oh no. I'm waiting. Something's frozen. Something doesn't want to work. There it be. Alright. So we don't need whatever advertisement I accidentally clicked on. Hydroid Crassus, Doom Whisperer, Karn, Scion of Urza. If you read Seth Manfield's article on the Sultai mid-range deck, he's running Karn and really liking it. Vraska Relic Seeker, it should be Vivian, man. Vivian's already proven to be the more powerful card. Oh wait, you're control. Alright, yeah. Alright, then maybe Vraska. Okay, I can get behind Vraska in a control deck where you don't have creatures. Okay. Yeah, I can get behind that because you're weakening Vivian's first ability, which is one of her most important things, is the card advantage. So just getting board advantage off of Vraska or being able to still kill something is still really good. So yeah, I can get behind Vraska here. I love the Karns though. Hydroid Crassus, the more you play this, you might end up like being like, you know, I'm going to have to have me a fourth one of these. So what happened here? What happened to chat? Oh my goodness. I don't know what happened to chat. I've lost chat. Anyway, Hydroid Crassus, I'll close this. We've lost chat, ladies and gentlemen. You may end up wanting to play 4 of it. The card's just absolutely great. Doom Whisperer is a good finisher. As far as Vraska's Contempt, these type cards go, I like the draw aspect of Discovery Dispersal. I like the backhand side of it as well with Dispersal. I mean, the deck looks sound. I mean, you've got the Thought Erasures, Sinister Sabotage, Ritual of Soot in the main. I mean, that's definitely something you may or may not want to roll with, knowing that one of your main creature spells is Hydroid Crassus. Although Ritual of Soot is very good, and being able to ritual on like 4 or 5 and then Hydroid Crassus on 6 or 7 or even later down the road sounds fine. Again, I would use the article that we were going over tonight. I would compare my converted mana against that article. You know, when are you trying to cast this? You're trying to cast a Vraska's Contempt, then you're going to want you know, your 16 converted mana or your 16 black sources in order to be able to do that. Just looking here, like what are the black sources? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So like you're just one short of being, you know, as consistent as possible, which is probably fine in most worlds. But I mean, if you want to be a little bit more consistent, you can start sharing things up that way. You do have Sinister Sabotage, which means you need 18 blue sources. So you know, that's something to think about. Like, how bad do you need Sinister Sabotage? Are you planning on Sinister Sabotaging things on 3, or do you got other plans on 3? And if you really plan on playing it on 3, then okay. Then you're going to need 18 blue sources, and that may enter some of your other spells. As far as green sources go, it doesn't look like you have a lot of early green, so you might be able to peel back on some of your green sources and change some of those green into other things. I'm going to say that with 6 basics, you probably got some room to work on some stuff somewhere to add some other things, or even just give you more depth in card choices, because you can afford more green spells, or you can afford to have you know, other things in the deck. So based on the mana, we'll give you you know, some card choices. So just pick what you want and then kind of go from there. But all in all, the deck looks pretty solid. I don't know how much I like Treasure Map in here. I like Treasure Map in certain aspects, like normally when you're trying to cast like a Nib Mizzet or a 7 converted mana cost spell and you wanted to get that out early, Treasure Map's really good at casting 7 drops on turn 5. So you know, those are some options. With treasure map, though, a lot of times you're going to need all of your spells to cost actually one more. And look at all of your spells, like how does Assassin's Trophy still look for me on as a 3-drop? Do I want to try to cast this on turn 3 when I'm using treasure map, activate the treasure map, and get an Assassin's Trophy cast in? How good does cast down look for me as a 3-drop, Moment of Craving as a 3-drop, Thought Erasure as a 3-drop? With the sheer number of 2-drops, I'm going to say treasure map's probably in a good spot for you, right? So you know, that's just some things to think about. I'm not going to spend that much more time on it, but I hope that that'll at least kind of hold you over. I like the deck. I like the idea that you're trying to go Sultai Control. We don't know as far as like where the meta goes, as far as whether or not Sultai Control or Sultai Midrange is going to be the best way to go. But either one looks pretty sweet. So, all right, I am going to get chat back up and make sure there's nothing that I'm just absolutely missing here. But other than that, I'm going to end up calling it a night. And let me get chat real quick. Where's chat? Just go to the live stream. All right, CMC guy, that should be posted. I will put this into a Nightbot link so that like Nightbot posts, hey, want help with your mana base? Check this guide. That's probably exactly what Nightbot will say. It's probably exactly what Nightbot will say. So, hi, chat. Look, join button. Here's where you get your nice little icons. Click that join button, right? But click the like button. I'm gonna like my own stuff. It's how greedy I am for a like. I like my own stuff. Hope you like it. Subscribe, all that other good stuff. And then we'll load chat. See how much Rush has yelled at me, and then go from there. We just fix it. We fix it. It's broken, but we fix it. We fix it. All right, it's fixed. Did I see your Patreon message? I may not have. I checked Patreon like 2 days ago. I will check, be informed. I was trying to get up with you to play another of your decks. We didn't get one for January for you. Definitely want to play one for there, and if you're still in for it, we'll get you a February up as well. Beast King, can you cut to Woodland Cemetery from your mana base? Azcanta seems better than map. In a lot of situations, yeah, I like Azcanta better. Chat lives, yes. Nothing wrong with liking your own content. That's one of my pieces of advice to anyone who wants to be a streamer. You got to be able to listen to yourself, you know, talk. If you don't like the sound of your own voice, man, whew, it's lonely. It's lonely. Rush has left. I have taken his spot. Oh, Jack, welcome, welcome. Yeah, I mean, you could cut some you could cut some 3-mana spells, things like that. Or sorry, you could cut some green down out of that particular deck, but that's gonna be it. If you guys do want help on your decks, and you know, not just a deck tech, sign up for the Reddit. The Reddit's free, doesn't cost you anything. Nobody's benefiting from the Reddit except for I'm just using it like my word of mouth. So just post your decks on the Reddit. There's a ton of guys over there that are posting their decks and looking at decks and giving feedback on decks. In case you haven't noticed, it's one of the things that Magic players like to do. We like to look at our buddies' decks. We like to tell them where they're wrong, right? Because when you get a bunch of Magic players together, where everybody's trying to play smartest guy in the room, right? So we're trying to tell them where they're wrong and how they can make it better. Take all that advice with your shit sifter, sift through it, decide what is worth keeping and what isn't worth keeping, decide what risk versus reward that you're willing to deal with, and Go have fun. Go play at F&M. Take a sweet tier 2 deck like this zombie deck and just go destroy people with it. Either way, I hope you had fun. I know I had a lot of fun. We're going to see you next time here on Sideboard MTG.